Alright, here we are, the final video, the final tutorial of this series. This is part 5, so please go watch the other videos if you are not up to this final assembly part and your fidget spinner does not look like mine. It is very important that you have all these pieces together before you move on to assembly today. So, if we're ready to go, right now we're in a part studio where we could build, right? But now we're going to go to the bottom here where it says assembly 1, and it'll change us into this totally different page where we can assemble our fidget spinner together and make it move. So to begin, we're going to go to the insert button on the top left, and we're going to put in our bearing. All right, so the bearing is going to come up pretty big. You can just drop it anywhere. And there we go. I'm going to zoom out and move it. You can just click and drag it to the side. Then you're going to click the green check mark just so we could get that out of there. And what we're going to do is fasten this to the origin so it doesn't move and we have a place to jump off of. So what we're going to do is click the fasten mate button, right, kind of in the top left. And when you click on this button and hover over the bearing, you'll see, and I'll zoom in here, you'll see this like multicolored symbol here, tricolored symbol. So each one of those colors represents an axis on OnShape, whether it be the Y, the X, or the Z. Right, they represent different colors, which you could see on the view cube here, right? The Z, the Y, and the X. So it's the same thing here, and you'll see how this works in a second. So what we're going to do is after you click on fasten, is I want you to rotate your bearing to the bottom. So you see the bottom of it. When you're on the bottom, you'll see there's like tons of different little things that you can click on, but we're going to click on this bottom donut part of this bearing. All right, so we're not going to go inside the bearing, but we're going to go on the bottom of the bearing. So you can click anywhere on the bottom donut in this gray part or whatever color yours is to connect and mate it. So after you do that, before you click on the origin, you'll see that the blue is facing down. So we want the blue to either be down like it just was or up, which let me rotate this so you can see. Because the blue is the z-axis, and the z-axis is what we want to be either upright or towards the bottom, so that this is looking at us like from top view down, like how we want. We don't want it to the side. So like if I did it where the V or the Z, I should say, is facing to the left or the right, you'll see how this turns to the side, and we don't want that. What we want is that blue line to be up or down, depending on which way you're looking at it. So right now mine is up, so I'm going to click, and it'll snap onto that origin like so. Then you're good to go. You can click on the check mark, and it is in the center of the origin. So now we're going to insert our caps. So you're going to insert 2 caps. You can put them anywhere you want. You can always move them later, and then click the check mark. So we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to fasten this onto the bearing so it stays in place. So we're going to click fasten mate. And what you're going to do is you're going to fasten this at the top of the bearing and then on the bottom of the cap, but not on the very bottom of the cap. So I'll show you what I mean right now. So not on this bottom of the cap, but we want it on this, like kind of underneath the hood of the cap, I'm going to say. So not on the peg, but on the hood. So I'm going to click there, and I'm going to rotate back up, and I'm going to go to the top of here, and it fastens right in very nicely for us. And I'm going to click the check mark and do the same thing and click fasten for the bottom one. So let me zoom out here a little bit. Click on the bottom of the hood and click right there for us. Now for this one, you'll see that it's flipped the wrong way. All right, so don't get nervous if you see it like this. All you have to do is click on this arrow right here and it'll flip to the correct way. So again, what I just did was, you can even do it over here too. Just click on the arrow and it'll flip to the correct way. Click the check mark and we have our middle piece ready to go for a fidget spinner. So if this just pops up, just knows that you were doing a lot of fastening. So you can just click the X and we're good. So now we're going to go to the insert button and insert our spinner body. This is the fun part, where we're finally making our spinners. So now we can click the check. We're going to place this combined piece here into the middle of our spinner, but this is the part that moves, that's going to be animated. So we want to make sure that we're picking a fastener that will be able to animate. So the one that we're going to pick, because it goes in the circle, is the Revolute Mate. So we're going to click on the Revolute Mate, and it's going to revolve right in a circle, and we're going to place this into here. Now what you're going to do is first you're going to not click on the top of the lid of this fidget, this middle bearing here, but you're going to click on the top of the bearing. All right, so you're going to click on the top of the bearing, and then you're going to click on the top of the spinner. And then you'll see that it snaps into the fidget spinner nicely. So I'll show you again. So you're not going to snap on the top or even on the bottom of this cap, but you're going to do the top of the bearing. All right, so the second piece that it's going into. So this top rim here, you're going to click on it, and then you're going to click on the top of the fidget spinner, and it'll fit in, and you can click the check, and we're good to go. But please make sure that you click the Revolute button and not the fasten, because if you click fasten, it'll be glued in and you won't be able to get it out. It'll be stuck there. It's not going to move, and we want this to be spinning, right, which you'll see in a couple of minutes. So make sure you don't fasten it in there. Make sure you click this one, and you'll see here if you did or not. So now we have to just put our 3 bearings in and we'll be good to go. So we're going to go back to insert. We're going to click bearing, and you could bring 3 out. Now these don't have caps, so they'll be a little bit easier to do. Now these stay in place, so we're going to also do fasten mate for these ones. And we're just going to click on the top of that and click on the top of this one. Check. Then we're going to click on the top of this bearing, click on the top of this hole, check. And while I'm checking, you'll see that it comes up already with another fasten one for you, because it knows that you're fastening a lot, which is pretty cool. So again, last one, and put it on the top of this one, and check. And there is the final fidget spinner, and it's looking pretty awesome, if I have to say so myself. So now what we're going to do finally is animate this bad boy, which will be pretty cool to see, since like programs like Tinkercad, unfortunately you can't do things like that in. So what you're going to do is, like I said before, that Revolute button is pretty important to have in your design, because you can see while I'm hovering over it, you could see in the middle of that bearing, it's showing like a rounded line, right? A rounded curve, showing that it's going to spin. So what you're going to do is hover over that Revolute in the feature section, right click, and go all the way down to animate. Then there's this little animate button that pops up, and everything is set at a good spot. All right, so you're going to leave the set value, which is 0 degrees as is. It's going to turn 360, which is what we want. And then it's going to reciprocate. So after it turns 360 degrees, then it's going to go the other way. which you could change if you want to. But I'm just gonna leave it. So here we go. Moment of truth. Just press the play button and it will spin for you. I could also rotate it as it's spinning, so you can check out the bottom, which is kind of cool. But there is the final fidget spinner. Now, if this bothers you, the origin is in the center there, and like that would bother me if that was me, so I would go to the origin, click hide, and now you don't see the origin. Alright, so again, if you want to go back there, you want to animate it again, there you go. So if that origin's like bothering you, you could always hide it over here. But first you have to get out of this. Then you could hide it. And then go back into animate, click play, and it won't be there anymore. So you can get like a nice screenshot to turn that in. Or if you're gonna do link sharing, that'll be fine too. But that is the fidget spinner. There you go, you just made one yourself, which never say you can't do something because you all probably did an amazing job. And yeah, there's that. So you could go back to your part studio, everything will still be there. And what's cool about this is, let's just say you realize while you were assembling, oh, maybe it's not fitting the way it's supposed to. You could always go back to your part studio, rewatch the videos, edit it, make sure you have all the dimensions correct, and then it'll update the assembly here. So it'll update as you change in the part studio, which is kind of nice. So you don't have to worry about that. So you could update as you fix. And that's that. I can't wait to see your fidget spinners.